Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Talks Tamiya. I'm Craig from the OAG RC, and I am joined, as always, by my podcast colleague Phil from Poor Boys RC. Phil, how are you doing today?
Hello, everybody. Hello, Craig. I'm doing great, buddy. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm a little tired, but I'm working away, and I'm looking forward to getting home for the weekend to do some speed runs, dude.
Speed runs. What are those?
You might have seen a few, I would imagine.
Yeah, I've seen a couple this month.
You must have had what? I think on the last scoreboard Sunday, I think you said you had over 100 entries. Am I right?
Yeah, last Sunday we were at 103, and today I want to say we're about 110 entries, maybe more.
That is insane. How many did you have in total last year?
Last year we were 88.
That's quite an increase. Well done, everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, well done, everybody. Yeah, we've had a lot of interest in this speed run challenge this year. It's been a wild one, man. And to be honest, how people are getting Hornets doing 50 miles per hour consistently is still beyond me. But here we are.
And you've had some really fast grasshoppers this year, haven't you? And Hornets, of course.
Yeah. Oh yeah, guys are, when I say 50, that's like a median speed. You know, there are guys doing a lot faster than that, 80, 90. We had a guy hit 100 in an unofficial run. So 100-mile, and that was brushed. Dude, that's a brushed Tamiya Hornet doing 100 miles per hour, which is just, and it wasn't like a super modified. It was very much a stock-ish Hornet, which is just absolutely crazy.
That is absolutely insane. We've got to 30 mile an hour, so we're 70 mile an hour off that. I can't see us getting to 100, but we do have a little bit more in the tank at the OAG, but we'll see. We're getting out this weekend. Mini OAG wants to have a drive as well, so we're going to dial the throttle down and let her have her little rip as well. So yeah, maybe we can get her up on the scoreboard as well at some point. But we've been having some fun.
That's awesome, man. That's what it's all about. You know, if you can do 10 miles an hour or 100 miles per hour, as long as you're having a good time, that's what the speed run challenge is about. That's why we use an inexpensive chassis and just make it fun for everybody.
I love it, man. We're jumping off the docket already because we're talking about speed runs, but it's a great place to start actually. So I've been watching as many as I can watch because I can't watch all 100. I've been trying to cherry pick. But there's been some great runs, some people who are really taking it seriously this year in the open class, definitely, and doing some amazing stuff. But I have got to mention Phil at Tonic RC. You know, he went back out there after, everyone was saying he didn't record the video and he didn't show his battery, and he absolutely made sure he did everything on his last run. And he hit an impressive speed.
Yeah, he sure did. It's got to be crippling because I mean, he's a YouTuber for a living. I'm a YouTuber for a living. And so it's actually more challenging to film something and to not edit it. Like when you're YouTubing, when you kind of get in the groove of doing it after a few years, and Phil, he's absolutely superb at what he does. He's a master of the craft. So I know how his head's working. He's thinking, okay, here's a shot, then I'm going to cut to this shot, then I'll cut to that shot. Well, you can't cut. That's part of the rules in the speedrun challenge. You're not allowed to cut. So he kind of got caught in the first one. He got called out on it, but he was such a good sport himself. You know, he even said like, listen, you're probably not going to be able to count this one, but at least get me on the scoreboard because I put the effort in. And 100% he did. And I do that for everybody, not just YouTubers. A lot of people just, it's nice to see your name on the scoreboard, get that recognition on a Sunday. If you made a little mistake, listen, we all do it, myself included. I made some mistakes,
Yeah.
So but yeah, no, he's been great, and he came back faster than ever. And yeah, he did like that long thing, and he has to even say like, okay, from here on I can't edit because you get these long kind of drawn out moments that as a YouTuber you want to cut that out, you want to edit, you want to condense it to keep it, keep the action flowing, but you can't do that in the SRC. But he did it, and he smashed his last best time. And I think we might see him again. I don't know for sure, but I think he's itching to get a little bit more out of that car.
Do you know what was impressive as well? He even did a walk of shame in there as well.
He did. And his walk of shame, like he hasn't damaged that car. He's gone ridiculously fast. What did he do? 83 miles per hour?
Yeah.
Let me check is that what it was? Where is he? 83, yeah. And he didn't damage it. Like it's still in great condition. In fact, he's actually donating that car to one of the Speedrun Challenge contestants. We're going to raffle it off. Not raffle it. We'll put it in the big spinny wheel and do it that way. But that's my official term, the big spinny wheel. But that's how he's going to give it away. And that's a really cool thing. I'm so happy that he came on board. He's having fun. Everybody's having fun. It's awesome.
Everyone's having fun. And there's been some breakages I've seen. There's been plenty of walk of shames. We had our own walk of shame at the OAG. I had to go and pick it up after Mrs. OAG slammed it into a curb. But those big tyres, I'm amazed at how much those big tyres protect the majority of impacts, I think.
They do, and they're also really good at bending axles, we discovered. A bunch of guys have bent axles, which I didn't part of the decision-making process and choosing a chassis is like, what's going to be robust enough to handle some hard hits? And I've owned the Midnight Pumpkins, my first ever hobby grade RC. I've owned one my entire life, and I've beat the living snot out of them over the last, almost 40 years. And never have I bent a Midnight Pumpkin axle. And we've had at least half a dozen bent, and even one snapped. A guy snapped an axle, which I thought was just crazy.
That is absolutely insane. No, we've not done anything like that yet. But I say yet because we've still got to go out and go a bit faster. So there's always time. There is always time. Have you had any major surprises? Any other major surprises in doing it so far this year? Is there anything else that's taken your breath away and didn't think it was possible?
Yeah, the brush category. They are ridiculously fast. I don't want to reveal the top speeds just yet because this will probably be out tomorrow. I don't want to spoil it for Scoreboard Sunday, but some guys have exceeded their personal bests from last Scoreboard Sunday. So let's just say that the brush guys are still going faster. And oh, you know what? I'm just looking at my scoreboard here. I said somebody did 100 in brush. That was a lie. They did 70. That was just a fun run. But yeah, they've got some, like, even 70 miles per hour in a brushed Tamiya Hornet with very few modifications. It's just numbers like that just blow me away. I really thought 50 would be pretty much the max in brushed. They've blown that out of the water. I thought maybe 70, 75 in brushless. They've blown that out of the water. And Jacko trades over in the open class. He's screaming, but so's, Rocket Racing. He's screaming. Crawler Concepts, they're screaming. George Malero, Bruce World, James Tate. There's so many guys in the open class that are just so fast. Yeah, I can see someone hitting 100 miles per hour maybe.
That's
To think
insane.
of a 100-mile-per-hour Hornet is just mind-boggling.
Who's the person that's done like 50 something mile an hour on a 380 motor? I saw that. That's insane.
That was Andy Hall, and not our Coronas Andy Hall, another guy. He's got a cool logo, OAH, the other Andy Hall. And he did, his speed here is, I can't tell you because it just came in recently, but let's just say he's north of 70 miles per hour on a 380 motor, brushless. Yeah.
Oh my goodness me!
It's
Someone needs to share
insane,
their
dude. I
secrets,
don't
I think,
know
with the
how they're
group.
doing it. I don't get it, but they're doing it.
Amazing. Well, the speedrun challenge always throws out some incredible hobby enthusiasts and some great speedrunners. And most importantly, as you said, Phil, it brings a whole ton of fun to a whole group of people. And I am super proud of everything you do to keep it going for us all. It's brilliant. Well done.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Wouldn't be the same without all the wonderful contestants. It's a great people that make it fun. And I think that's why it's got the following that it has now. Because it's not meant to intimidate and scare people away and make you spend $5,000 to go fast. It's fun. It's supposed to be fun. The first ever speedrun challenge I hosted was just for fun. COVID was on its tail end. We needed something to do to stay out of trouble. And I thought, let's do this and have some fun here, guys. And we did. And here we are, fast forward 4 years later. And I think it's the biggest speedrun event, like other than like Rasa or like the big official ones. But like as far as YouTube goes, just for funsies, I think this is the biggest speedrun event that happens, which is pretty fun. Pretty cool.
Absolutely. And long may it continue, my friend. Long may it continue.
Yeah, heck yeah.
So, we need to start the show off officially now with some unfortunate news. It's an obituary of Shunsaka Tamiya, who passed away this week. 90 years old. He was the former chairman of Tamiya. And I've got his obituary here from the Tokyo Weekender that I'm just going to read out so everyone understands who this guy is and what we're talking about. Born in 1934, Tamiya started making model cars at a young age and was instantly hooked. You can't understand how excited I was to see the model I made running. I was in the 5th grade of elementary school when the war ended. I made the motor myself using dry batteries, and I was so satisfied when I hooked it up and started swinging it. I think this is those motor propelled cars that used to spin around and swing around. They used to just run on a string.
Mm-hmm.
Tamiya joined the family-run business known as Tamiya Shoy, I probably pronounced that wrong, LLC in 1958 after graduating from Waseda University. Appointed head of the product planning division 2 years later, he initially focused on wooden design before Tamiya shifted to plastic model manufacturing. The company started to attract global attention in 1968 when it participated at the Nuremberg Toy Fair. We all know that one. Taking over from his father as company president in 1978, Tamiya helped turn the family business into one of the world's most well-known model kit companies. Some of Tamiya's most famous products include its first electric-powered radio RC car, the Porsche 934 Turbo model, released 2 years before he became president, and the fast mini four-wheel drive races introduced in 1982. So he was there through pretty much everything that us Tamiya fans love about Tamiya. I know that there are those guys that love the static model kits, which are incredibly detailed. There are those guys that love the mini four-wheel drive racers that are very popular in Japan, and I've got a few of those, and they're really fun to build. They're really simple. They're great little models to get into the hobby with. And then, of course, what we're all about, the RCs, and whether that's a tank, whether that's a buggy, whether that's a touring car, this guy was there when all of that was going on. He was at the helm, and he turned this business into a global name and something that celebrates all over the world. So, 90 years old, what an incredible life, what an incredible contribution, and what a loss to the world, I suppose, Phil.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. A huge loss to the world. To think the impact one person can have on so many lives, hey, and like you said, across the world. You're in the UK, I'm in Western Canada. One man, it's crazy. One person can have that kind of impact, and we're talking like, I mean, you've been in the hobby for a lot of years. I've been in the hobby since I was a boy. It's phenomenal. So yeah, it's a sad day, sad week. He was a visionary, a guy that took this little model company, and man, did he ever put it on the map. And worldwide
Absolutely.
brand now, respect all over the globe, and he will be missed. Sad day.
There's a great book. He wrote a book, which I have the English translation on, all about the history of Tamiya modeling, and it's quite an old book. It must have been written, I want to say, like 20 years ago. And it talks about, there's a section, there's a lot of sections around the wooden models and the plastic models, and then it moves into RC for a chapter before it goes on to talk about the mini four-wheel drive racers. But in that chapter about the RC, he sort of talks a little bit about how it all came about, how the RC car came about. And I wish I had the specific story. I'm not at home, so I'm not able to go put my hands on it. But it was like a someone's project. It was like an R&D guy's project, or like a weekend project. It wasn't even something that they were officially working on. Somebody just was playing around with the parts and created this RC car. And that's how the whole thing started. Just someone's idea.
Isn't that crazy?
It is. I'll dig the story out for our next podcast, and I'll read a little bit of it, because it is just fascinating that's how this whole industry really started.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, if you think of the technology they had back then too, it would have been so challenging to build a radio controlled model. And then just as the industry grew and grew and technology improved, parts got more readily available, less expensive. Fast forward, 40, 50 years, and here we are.
Absolutely crazy. And our beloved Tamiya chairman passed away on the same day as Ozzy Osbourne passed away, who I know you like your music, Phil. Ozzy Osbourne must have been somebody that you idolized growing up, I would imagine.
Absolutely. I was a headbanger my whole life. I think I was 8 years old. I was walking home from a friend's house, and I stopped. There was a garage sale going on, and I bought my first record. It was a single of Quiet Riot, Come On Feel the Noise. And I bought it for $0.25. And I remember I came home and I put on the record player. It was a little 45. My mom's like, what the hell is this? And, so as long as I can remember, I've loved heavy metal. And of course, Ozzy played a huge part in that. Black Sabbath played a huge part in that. And, so many nights I can just remember hanging out in my room in high school. I wasn't the coolest kid in high school, far from it. And, hanging out, working on my pumpkin, working on my my buddy's Clodbuster. And it was always like Metallica, Megadeth, Sabbath, Floyd playing. And that's just what we did. And yeah, to have Ozzy, I think it's, first of all, it's awesome that you brought it up, because I think a lot of people in this hobby like that type of music, and certainly, we're not super young bucks anymore. So he touched our lives, man. And it's just part of the deal, wrenching, having a beer, whatever, listening to some Ozzy. That's how it was. It's been a part of the ritual for many of us, and another legend that's going to be missed. Man, what a brutal week.
Absolutely. It was only the other day, actually. I was down in the studio and I was working on. I hadn't started a video. I was just sort of tidying up down there, and I put some Black Sabbath on. It was just after they did that final farewell gig, which happened just in Birmingham, just north of where I am in the UK. It, it just being around that sort of music. I grew up with that sort of music playing. I love heavy rock music. In fact, I love all music, but there's just something about that era of heavy metal and rock music that resonates with me. I remember my dad listening to some of this stuff when I was a kid, and it was only then I was sort of sat listening to it thinking, I bet you back in the day there were people back in the 80s sat working on their cars listening to this music, when it was, still fresh and still, developing, and man, it's strange to think that, I mean, everything comes to an end, right? But what's interesting, that gig in Birmingham, the farewell one, all the proceeds to that went to charities, and one of the charities that Ozzy donated to, or Black Sabbath donated to, was Acorn's Children Hospice, who I did. I created that DTO2 community build where I got everyone to send me parts from all over the world, and we built up an RC car just out of people's junk boxes, basically, for the most part. And one of the charities that they donated to at that concert was Acorns that I donated to. And I thought it was just a really nice, a nice link, I suppose, Phil, more than anything else.
Well, that's cool. I didn't realize that they did that. I remember that community build, and as soon as you said Acorn, that rung a bell. But I didn't realize that
Yeah.
that his last show was all donated to that. That's so nice.
Yes, they donate to them, Birmingham Children's Hospice, and I think something to do with one of the Parkinson charities as well for Parkinson's. So, there was loads of money donated. I mean, Acorns did a post about it and thanked Ozzy, and God rest in peace and all that sort of stuff. I think it's wonderful that they did that and donated it to local charities as well. They were quite local, I think, to where those guys grew up, and yeah, it was nice touching way for them to sign off all that wonderful rock and roll history. Oh, there we go. Two big losses to the world in 1 week. Yeah, I'm sorry to start the podcast on a sad note, but there we are. All right, should we move on to something slightly more cheerful then, Phil?
Let's cheer it up a little bit, shall
Let's talk about new Tamiya releases.
we? Ooh, I like new Tamiya releases. What do you got?
There's not a lot, actually. We're kind of in that lull. We're waiting for I think September. There's kind of a big hobby show in Japan. I think we're all kind of waiting now to hear what's on the card for the future. So we've got a 1/16th RC M4 Sherman tank with mechanical steering system. We've got the M08R chassis kit and the M07R chassis kit. Those two chassis are back in kit form. And then we should have our RC Hornet by Juan Watanabe. I struggle with that first name. However, we need to talk about that one, Phil, because I was on Facebook a couple of weeks ago and I read a post from Time Tunnel Models, which is a hobby shop here in the UK. And Neil, who is the owner of Time Tunnel, posted up and said, as many of you been dealing with this for 30 years will know, I don't mince my words. What can only be described as an enormous something up in Japan has occurred. The Juan Watanabe Hornet Tamiya has screwed up massively on the numbers volumes coming into the UK. The first batch will now be tiny, and whilst they're going to make enough to cover demand, it is unlikely that this will be before early winter at the absolute earliest. We'll be in contact with all our affected customers in the next week once we have full confirmation, but it looks like a complete mess. Some other dealers are still taking orders, likely because they've simply not had the phone call yet. It looks like a cutback in the region of 95%.
That's a lot of cutback, dude. Holy,
That's a lot of
crazy.
it's a lot of unhappy people who placed pre-orders for that buggy that are not going to see it for another 6, 9, maybe even 12 months.
Is that UK only, or do you know if that is that affecting other markets worldwide?
I've not seen it mentioned for other markets around the world. I've only seen that mentioned in the UK, but I can't imagine Tamiya producing manufacturing runs for each individual country. It's likely they'll do a batch of this model, and then it'll be shipped out all around the world in containers to different regions. So it's got to be everywhere. It's got to be.
Man, that's brutal. I wonder what happened. Shortage of parts or something, or shortage of like manufacturing. What could have happened to maybe like some sort of a, I don't know, like a world event or an earthquake or something like that affected the manufacturing process?
Well, it sounded to me when I read that post, it sounded like they just misjudged the initial demand, because they would have put that. The way these things work is that Tamiya will be putting that into production, and they have one or two things they can do. They can wait until they understand how much demand there is for the product before they start manufacturing it, or they manufacture, I don't know, let's pick a number, 10,000 of them, and then say to the wholesalers around the world, to the distributors, right, this is how many we've got. How many do you want for your region? And then they will make that many. And then if the demand outstrips, they'll go back and do another production run at another time in the future. Because setting up a production run takes time and money. You've got to put the tools in place. You've got to get the jig set. It takes time to do that. I can only guess that Tamiya either made a production run, sold it out, and then found out the demand had completely outstripped what they built, or they had some sort of supply issue as they were building, going through the production run. Maybe there's a failure, they lost some parts, who knows? And then they went, oh, can't produce that number, now we can only produce this number.
That's such a variance, though. 95% is, that's a huge number. I'd like to know more about that. I got to do some digging on that, because I did see that. I saw it on Facebook as well, but it was Time Tunnel Models UK. I'm in Canada, so I just, I really didn't, I saw it. It didn't really affect me a whole lot, so I didn't really dig any deeper into it. But just hearing it coming from your mouth makes me kind of wonder if, I don't know. I'm curious. I want to know what the heck happened.
Well, if anyone out there knows, why don't they get in touch with Fil and I and tell us what's happened, and we will dig in and hit up some of our sources and see if we can find out what's going on.
Inquiring minds want to know.
So, was there anything else on the releases that take your fancy, Phil? You interested in the tank? You an M chassis guy?
The tanks. I mean, I haven't crossed the bridge into the Tamiya tank world yet. It will happen at some point, and when I do, I'm probably going to go gaga for tanks, and then occupy most of our next podcast on that subject. I haven't got there yet, but the M08, the M07R, cool cars, beautiful cars. Actually, I just kind of brought them up my laptop here as I'm talking to you, just to kind of jog my memory on them. They're gorgeous, but I can just imagine what the price point's going to be. As soon as you start talking Tamiya, oil-filled dampers, carbon fiber, aluminum upgrades, CVDs, right? What's it going to be? A $500 car that is basically a roller where you have to, supply your own body and wheels and tires, electronics. It's going to be, they're gorgeous, but I have a hard time swallowing the big price point of some of these.
Yeah. Do you know what? I've hit that point as well, where I kind of look at it and go, how am I going to get fun out of this thing? You know me, I like to drive everything, so I don't really want to have things that sit on the shelf that I'm afraid to run. And the more I drive, the more I think, I don't want to smash up stuff that's super expensive, but I want to drive them, I want to experience them. The M07R in the UK is £229.
£229, so that's about 400 Canadian then.
Yeah. So that's quite an expensive kit, an M kit. That's quite expensive for an M kit. You still got to buy a body shell for that as well to run it. But it does look like it comes with wheels and tires, which I suppose is something.
It does come with wheels and tires?
I think it does. Yeah.
I'm on the website now, kind of looking at it. The image.
Yeah, so you need your motor, you need your speed controller, you need a body, but it does come with wheels and tires.
So you're going to be 550 to 600 Canadian dollars by the time you're said and done to get the thing running. And to me, that's just a lot of money. And like you just said, what are you going to do with it? I mean, it looks super cool, and I would love to take one on a carpet track and zip it around. It would be a blast, and it would look awesome. I'm sure it would perform great. But for that kind of money, I don't know. I just, if I had unlimited RC tokens, sure, I'd get it. But unfortunately I don't. And
you haven't got that cheat code. You haven't got that cheat code yet.
I'm working on it, but I haven't cracked the code just yet. But maybe one day, man. If I, as soon as I do figure it out, I'll let you know. But until then, I got to spend my money a little, a little bit more conservatively, I guess. And for that kind of a price point, I can get two other kits or three other kits maybe, so I kind of look at it that way.
Absolutely, I'm with you. I'm with you. So that's the new releases. Let's know if there's something in there that you guys are going to be picking up. I want to move on to talk about my Hero Tamiya for the month, and I have selected the DT02. Now, for a lot of people, they're going to look at that and go, "Oh, it's a modern Tamiya chassis or a modern-ish Tamiya chassis." But actually, that chassis is like nearly 20 years old, and I think personally, I've driven a lot of buggies now. I still come back to that chassis and think it is pound for pound one of the best driving buggies that you can have for what is it, 120 pounds, 110 pounds. You get a lot of fun out of that purchase. And I'm still not sure that I found, even when you start going up the price points, I'm still not sure I found something until you start hitting some really pricey buggies. Found something that I think is a good all-rounder like the DT02 is.
DTO2 is pretty awesome. That's the same chassis that the holiday buggy is on, right?
You got it, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got a holiday buggy. I still haven't driven it. So have I even driven a DTO2? What else is on the DTO2 chassis?
So the DTO, the Sand Viper,
Okay, don't have it.
the Super Fighter G.
Don't have it.
Man, you probably haven't driven a
I've never driven
DTO2 then.
one. I don't think I've driven one.
Well, that is a wrong that you have got a right to, my friend.
I know. You know what? Actually, a few months ago, I brought my holiday buggy and a few other buggies. I went up to Tofino, which is our kind of surf mecca here in Canada. Sounds weird, but we do have a cool surf town. And anyway, I went up and I brought four or five buggies up. I was going to film for 3 days, and I decided it would be fun if I drove my Camry. You guys have all seen my '85 Toyota Camry. It's kind of, it's a funny vehicle. It's a great conversation starter, and it's actually very good on gas. So I decided to drive that. Unfortunately, the driver's seat's pretty worn out, and I've got a really screwed up back, and I tweaked my back on the way up. By the time I got up there, it's about a 4.5 hour drive. By the time I got up, I couldn't walk. And I spent 2 days laying in my hotel room, which is right on the beach. Like dude, I was set up. I had all my cameras, all my gear, all my batteries. It was like a day of prep and a day to unprep. And I literally had to lay in my bed at the hotel the whole time. I did not get one car out. I couldn't walk. Let alone, drive a car, chasing around with the camera, setting up cameras, crawling around on the sand. You know what I mean? So that was the closest I got to driving my holiday buggy. So retribution will come. The day will come when I get to drive it, but yeah, to date I haven't.
So you need to do it. I have 3 DT02s, and of course we built the community build project was a DT02 as well, and I built one for my daughter that was gifted to the channel by CW01 Creations. Peter Smith sent it in for her to build, and we built it together, and she loved that chassis. And there's videos of her just doing donuts and just beating the crap out of this thing, and it got loads of stones underneath it, and we wrecked the bottom of it. And that was actually the chassis pan that I had that I sanded down and cleaned up for the community build. That's where the idea came from. So it was just sat there. I'm never going to use this thing again. What can I do with it? Because we changed the chassis out on that for a complete carbon chassis that was sent in to the channel for Mini OEG to build. And she's got this carbon chassis that's available for the DTO2. It's not a Tamiya part, it's an aftermarket part. But that thing's beautiful. And it's got a big RZ motor in the back of it, and it really does shift. It's a really nice drive now. And then I got a Super Fighter G, which was one of the original DTO2 releases, and it had a clear gearbox. That's why I picked it up. I got it on eBay, absolute bargain. And that one was my runner. I just drive it everywhere. I'd taken out everybody that wanted to go with the RC, got to drive this DTO2. So all my nephews have driven it, and their dad drove it, and the sister-in-law drove it, and everyone's had to go. This thing's done probably a lot of miles, and it was just a second-hand buggy I picked up. But that one has now been rebuilt and reconditioned, and I'm taking that 380 Racing in August. That's the chassis I'm using for that. And then I bought myself a Sand Viper because I had to see what the top of the range DTO2 was like, and I built that thing up. It looks great, and it drives absolutely fantastic. For £120, it drives really, really nice. So I am an absolute huge fan of the DTO2.
Nice. Good choice. Good choice. Yeah, anything DT, I think, right? They're known to be robust, inexpensive, handle well, low dollar replacement parts, kind of a nice all-round beginner buggy that'll actually get around the track pretty good.
I think that's why I like it so much. It goes back to that stuff that you were saying about the speedrun challenge. You want it to be an affordable kit, and what I love about the DT chassis is they are affordable kits. People can buy them for their children. If something breaks, there's plenty of parts available. You can get a replacement part, no problem. Heck, you can even buy a new chassis and just pull the part you want out and have a whole bunch of spares. They're affordable RC fun, and if it breaks, you can repair it. And if you can't repair it, you can probably glue it back together or shoe glue or something like that. And yeah, I'm a big fan of the DT chassis. I think Tamiya really know what they're doing with that one, and yeah, that's why it's there, and that's why I love it. And if in fact the DTO3, which I know is not the DTO2, it was the DTO3 that got me back into the hobby during the pandemic. I rebuilt that first car I built from scratch, and not had to sort of make up from broken parts and stuff. So I got a very soft spot for that chassis range.
Nice. That's awesome, man. Great choice. Yeah, great choice. Yeah, I've got the DTO3 and the O4, and I've driven those, and I can't say enough good things about them. So yeah, I got to get in that DTO2. I got to try it out sometime.
There you go. You got to go back to where it all starts. The DTO1, you could probably leave that one. That's the Fighter RX. It's that one.
Yeah, and the Mad Bull, right? Isn't that DTO1?
Yeah, that's the same thing.
Yeah, it's kind of, I've got one in my closet I've been meaning to restore for about 3 years now. It's fallen by the wayside many times, and it's kind of a wacky looking platform, but any videos I see on it, like, guys seem to love it, and it seems to do things you wouldn't think it can do. It can perform quite well. Actually, I think it was Pete Wiley had a video, wasn't it? That his big pile of wood chips, the wood chip pile contest that he does. And I think he got up that in his Mad Bull, but he couldn't do it like in an Arma, like a 4-wheel drive $800 Arma. And in his video, he said it, he's got that dry humor, right? He's like, well, that proves it. The Mad Bull's better than Arma. It was so funny.
I took the Mad Bull. We did a couple of summers back. Mark Bryan organised like this get together where he, Rob, myself, and this guy called Dom, we all got together and just drove the cars around for an afternoon and had some fun. And we all agreed to take a big tyre vehicle to drive about. So of course the guys turn up. They've got lunch boxes and monster beetles, and I turn up with the Mad Bull. And because it's basically a buggy with massive tyres on, it absolutely destroyed the lot of them because it was just such a great drive. It just goes over everything. It doesn't care what's in its path. It just works. So I highly recommend, if you've got one of those to restore, dust it off and build it. You will not regret it, Phil. You will not regret it.
All right. Okay. I'm motivated now. You got me. I'll do it.
So, talking about motivation, I want to talk a little bit about other RC news because there's an awful lot of other RC news. I know we love our Tamiyas, right? But you certainly are a firm fan of other RCs as well, as am I. And there's quite a few things that I've noted over the last month or so that I thought we should probably discuss. So we're going to start off with the Relalo 112 rally car that I know you have received and driven. And wow, I thought it looked absolutely fantastic. But I've not got one, so I'm relying on you to tell us all about it.
Get one. If you're curious about 12 scale rally, get one. It is so good. It does everything so well. It's what a rally car should be. Just like in real life, they're overpowered. They handle, pavement and flat turns really well, but then they can also go off road and jump and do, crazy stunts and land. And the Relalo XTS P12 does all of those things. It's ridiculously overpowered. The suspension on it is just so good. I can't think of a car that has suspension like that, especially on a 12 scale. It's so nice and smooth. Everything just works so well. There were a few hiccups in the production runs. I'm not sure exactly what happened. I am partnered up with Relalo, and I asked some questions. I wasn't able to get all the answers, but I think in production they had some issues, and some of the kits came out. The lights weren't working quite correctly, and they put out some statements on how to fix all that. So pretty minor. as far as the actual car performs, the bang for the buck, like they're just so good. I can say it 100 times, and I have said it 100 times, but until you actually drive one and you feel it, I mean, if you watch my review video on it, I'm drifting on pavement on a hot sunny day, middle of summer. It's 25 degrees out, sun's out, not a cloud in the sky. Pavement's nice and hot. The tires are sticky, and I'm drifting. I'm going top speed is about 40 kilometers per hour. I kept on the lower gearing. It comes with a 16 and a 21 tooth pinion, I believe. I kept it on the 16. And at 40, or I think it was 40 miles per hour that I was doing. And that's plenty fast for me. That's, in my opinion, any faster, you're just breaking stuff. And it's kind of uncontrollable, really. So, and I'm ripping this thing. I had to slow down my camera, and I'm filming at 120 FPS just so I can slow it down enough so you can see what happens. And as the car zips by, tap the brake. I'm driving one-handed. Okay. I got a GoPro in one hand on a stick and a controller in the other. And I'm trying to capture all this. This is, I say that to give you an idea of the kind of control that you have with this car. And I could tap the brake, get the back end loose, spin it around, hit the throttle again, pull out of it, and do a 360 spin on flat pavement, hot, high traction surface, just predictably over and over and over again. I could do it one-handed. And that's not a testament to my driving, because I'm not a good driver. So what I'm saying here is that the car does things that it'll just blow your mind. They're absolutely phenomenal. So if you're listening and you're on the fence, by all means, try one out. They're not even very expensive. And
$29, that's how much they are.
It's crazy, man. $200. Are you kidding me? Like, what can you get for $200?
Not something that drives like that at all. I mean, that is just incredible value for money. Actually, they are sold out currently on the website, so they must have sold well, which is great for Relala. That's what they're going to have wanted to have done.
Yeah, for sure. They're getting some flack. I mean, I think that they get a little more heat than they deserve. They're doing some things that they need to improve. Like the screws are pretty soft. They do tend to strip out, and they end up, like, I think they use like a red Loctite on a lot of their metal to metal parts, which they got to get away from that. Just stick to a blue or a purple, or not, sorry, maybe not purple. I think that might be the super strong one, but the blue one, and just, a little dab of Loctite is all you need.
Yeah.
And, so that, that could be improved in the build process. But as far as the overall driving experience and the ownership experience of one of these cars, they are absolutely awesome. That's all I can say. If you're on the fence, just get one and you'll experience it for yourself, man. You'll love it.
I have been on the fence. I was very tempted by the 112 because I thought it kind of looked closer to the Tamiya 110th. I thought the 110th, the XTS, is it the F10? I thought that one looked slightly bigger than the 110th Tamiya RC rally cars. And I was concerned that, if you're making videos, I do a lot of things where I'll run several cars around, I'll do a little track and I run them all around. I didn't want something that was so much bigger because it kind of messes up the scale of what you're trying to achieve. Whereas this one at 112th, I thought probably looked similar to the Tamiya 110. Does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, 100%.
So that's what attracted me towards it. For me, it's still $189, and I was like, I was on the fence, and I couldn't decide. And I did watch your review, and I saw Mark did a review, and both of them were they sucked me in, and then as it always happens, there's always something else, isn't there? Something else gets you. Oh, something shiny over here, and I'll go and do that instead. But I do want to do some rally stuff, so I'm thinking that it's probably a future purchase for the OAG at some point.
Yeah, they're pretty good too. If you sign up on their website, I think right away for new users, you sign up to the newsletter, you get a 10% off coupon. So I mean, 10% is 10%, right? It's $20. So pretty much. So,
I might have heard that there's a certain Poor Boys RC that's got some affiliate links as well, so maybe I'll give one of those a click at the same time. How about that?
oh, what a gentleman. What a gentleman. Yeah, keep me in business. Recorded a video today. I'm like, help keep me in business. Or use my affiliate links.
Everything I can do.
But it's
Anything
true.
I can do to help you that's not a Canadian store. I can help you if it's something like Rolalo. I can't necessarily buy from your Canadian hobby stores.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, yes. Buy a $20 part, spend $100 shipping just to support Poor Boys. Why not?
So we've got that one. That's the Rolalo. What was it? The XTS P12. They've got to get some better names. That's the only thing I would say. I can't remember all these letters. So that's that one. That looks great. Go and check it out. We've got, okay, well, before we go on to Team Associated, because there's quite a few of those to talk about, I was on a UK model site the other night, Model Sport in the UK, popular UK online model shop, and I saw for sale the Kyosho Moto hanging on racer. SRT Suzuki RGV 1992 1/8 kit. Now, I've not seen one of these to buy. Well, I don't think I've seen one of these to buy for a while. So it looks to me like Kyosho had put this model back out into the market. And I think it looks super cool. I looked at the manual, and the rider leans as you turn the bike. The rider on the bike leans from side to side, but the rider's actually made up of several parts within the construction of the model. So you kind of like building the model of the driver, the rider on the bike, while you're building the RC underneath it, and it looks super, super cool. Have you seen that one before, Phil?
I am Googling it right now because I know I've seen it before, and I'm just trying to jog my memory. Oh, okay, there it is. Oh, that's so sexy. And that's 8 scale too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So
No,
what is the
I knew
scale
they
actually? I
exist.
mean, I wonder how big it actually is.
I know, but I think it'd be a fair size. I think it would be a reasonable size compared to a 1/8, sorry, a 1/10 RC car. I think it would be similar in scale.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. I'm on their website right now. I was kind of going through it just to see if I can get like an actual measurement, like a wheelbase kind of a thing, to get an idea of how big it is.
It is super cool, and I'd not seen one of these things for a while, and I thought it was pretty cool to see it back in stock, available to purchase. And I think there's the servo in there. I think also sort of somehow controls the lean of the body of the rider as well. It's very clever, very, very clever. And my problem with this sort of stuff is I don't have somewhere flat enough to run it. And I think for that you would need a really nice, slick, newly laid tarmacked area. You know, the sort of place that maybe on a new construction site where you shouldn't probably be running your cars or something like that. You know what I mean?
You know, I've got a spot right now where I'm speed running my speed run car, and it's like a fresh new patch of road. There's like a whole new little community they're building, and it's not even dusty. It would be perfect for this little
Oh,
cute
it
little
would be
bike.
absolutely perfect, wouldn't it?
And I'm on their website here, buddy, and it says the wheelbase is 185 millimeters. So what's like a standard touring car, a 10 scale touring car, like one or no 212 or something like that?
I want to say 210, something like that.
210, yeah, okay, so a little smaller than like a 10 scale touring car wheelbase would be.
Perfect for driving on your fresh tarmac.
Yeah, exactly, be really cool. Yeah, and like, you can see like the way the driver leans, like the head turns and everything as the bike leans. That is so cool.
I think that'd be right up your street. If that's something you can find, I think that would make some really good videos. I was very tempted, but I couldn't think of any way that I would be able to run that. There's also another one. There's a Honda NSR 500 1991 that would have been a Rothmans Racing, but it's now just got the Racing Honda on the side of it.
I gotcha.
Yeah, very, very cool. If you're into bikes, they look super cool. And it was nice to see those available back in stock again. I've not seen those for some time.
Very cool.
So we're going to have to go there. We're going to have to talk about associated. So the first one that I saw was the '89 Stealth Masami Edition RC10, which looks great. However, when I was reading about that one, Phil, I heard a lot of people saying that the actual '89 Stealth car would have had a carbon fiber chassis, but this one's just got a regular pan chassis like the rest of them. And if you want the carbon fiber chassis, you've got to buy it as an optional extra.
Is that right? Buggers,
Mm.
eh? Because I'm not gonna lie, I may have put in an order for that one after I said no more associated. But I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for Masami. The same with the Brian Kinwald edition. I'll likely grab one of those at some point too if I can get my hands on one. I think they're sold out everywhere now. But those are just racers that I watched growing up, and I feel like they were part of my childhood in the 90s, when I'd get my RC Car Action magazines, I'd read about these guys and, watch them going all around the world doing these amazing RC events. And it is just a part of my childhood. And that Masami car, that 89 car, with the big front shocks on it, like, and yeah, I just love it. And I don't know. Seeing Masami still, he's still pretty active on social media, doing his stuff with the Genova car. And he had that special car that he put out last year that was like super expensive, him and his dad built.
Yes.
I don't know. I like him. He just such an icon in the industry. And I think I want that little piece of history to hang on to and to have as a discussion piece in my collection.
I get it, man. I get it. And I hope I haven't upset you by saying that it hasn't got the carbon fiber chassis. It's got a CNC machined aluminium chassis, and it does have a carbon fiber top plate. But I seem to remember reading that it had a carbon fiber chassis back in the day. But I
Interesting.
suppose, to keep the price something sensible, they gotta make it work for them with modern engineering, haven't they? It does make sense.
Yeah, well, the price isn't really that sensible either. It's comparable to like a four-wheel drive. Its price is like as the same as like a Tamiya, a Grass, Avante, or like a legendary four-wheel drive Kyosho would be. Which we're talking same timelines essentially in history, but when it comes to overall just the amount of parts and part quality, the legendary Kyoshos and the Tamiya Agras Avantes, we're talking some really high end components on these chassis, and so it kind of makes me feel that I'm overpaying for some of these RC10s. Yeah, it does. I'm not going to lie. I feel like I'm overpaying for them, but they're also to have the Masami or a Brian Kinwald livery they're just iconic cars. So I think sometimes in life you're gonna overpay for some cool stuff, and that's something I'd overpay for and be
If
totally
do you know what? If I was going to get one, that's the one I would have got.
yeah. What
Just the
and what
light.
makes you say that? I'm curious. What makes you say that?
The livery looks fantastic. I like the color of it. I like the decals on it. I like the fact that it was something unique and special. Yeah, and even though it's not got necessarily the same under tray and the chassis not the same, I think it would have been the one that I'd have gone for. I like the pink wheels on it. It just looks great. So if I was going to get one, that would have been the one I would have got.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotcha. It's a beauty, man. It's so nice.
And I'd have probably picked that over, I don't know, the next thing we're going to talk about, and that's the RC10DR Dakar truck. Have you seen that thing?
Oh boy. Yeah, we're talking about that.
We got to, because it's another RC10 release, so we got to talk about
Okay,
it. We'll
let's
talk
do
about
it.
the others.
Let's talk about it, man. Let's go. Hit me. What what do we think?
So, well, what do I think? I think it looks atrocious, is what I think. It's not a great looking RC, but I will say the promotional video made it look really fun because it's going over the bumps. It was driving real nice. I thought, wow, that looks really cool. But I didn't like the design of the body on it. I thought the body was ugly.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Actually, right on par with you there. I think that promotional video really showcased the handling, the suspension really well. It looked like it was just soaking up the bumps. It actually looks like a really fun car to drive. The body design itself kind of reminds me of that monster truck, Maximum Destruction, Max D, from like back in the day. Just it's so angled, kind of Mad Maxy kind of looking thing. I don't know. All of that aside, I mean, it's not, and the body just seems to lack a lot of shape. It's just kind of this like almost like Star Fox Nintendo 64 or like Super Nintendo, Star Foxy kind of like design. Everything's all blocky and then
Too
like the
many
headlight.
polygons.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, like the first ever 3D gaming kind of thing, and then like just the like the headlight decals on there don't really, it kind of has a kind of a cheap feel to it. And then when I saw what it was really just kind of, it's kind of a rebadged something else, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's probably the bit that leaves a sour taste in the mouth, isn't it? I think Adam from Adam's Playground posted it up on the Poor Boys channel on Facebook and saying, I think I've seen this car somewhere before. And then he posted another RC10 release, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it was something else they've released at another date. And this thing is basically just a carbon copy. The chassis looks identical, and they've just stuck some different stickers and a different livery on it, and then badged it RC10.
Yeah, that is what happened. And then what about the price tag?
Well, it's like $100 more, isn't it?
Yeah, like, that part kind of gets me. That's the part that I don't like about um releases that are coming out of Team Associated. I think when they're doing stuff like this, I don't think it looks good for the brand. And I said that in my review for the RC10 four-wheel drive. I got a lot of heat. I got a lot of heat from RC10 people, from Associated people, and I got a lot of like, hey man, thanks for kind of bringing this to our attention from just hobbyists. So I'm not an RC10 fanboy, I guess you'd say, but I mean, I love Team Associated. I love what they've done for the hobby. Absolutely, no doubt, they are a pillar in the RC world. I buy their stuff. I love their stuff. But just from a business perspective, the rapid fire releases at high price points with a bunch of manufacturing faults, a lot of people have said it, and not just me. I mean, go on Instagram, do look it up. You'll see a lot of people are kind of in the same boat, kind of feeling they're getting a little bit ripped off. And then this thing comes out, and it's like, oh boy, oof, this is ugly. And to see that it's just like a rebadged version of whatever. I'm trying to find the name of that other truck. I can't remember what it
The
is.
Pro 2 DK10 SW ready to run. So I
Yeah,
found it.
there's a name you can't forget.
It is $262.49 on their website right now.
Okay.
And then I'm
And
now
what's the
trying to
new
find
RC10?
the RC10DR. See if I can find that one. RC10DR. Search for that one. That one is $349. So yeah, it's almost $100 difference for exactly the same thing.
So, like, what is that? I mean, does it come with anything better? Does it come with a better motor, ESC, maybe? Like, is it better in any way? Are
I'm
you
just
getting more for
I'm
your money?
I'm just looking. I can't see anything that suggests they're different. The features are almost identical. In fact, they are identical. So it's just a different body set.
Just a different body set.
I mean, it just kind of feels a little bit cheap to me.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, I take it back. I thought it had a different adjustable suspension geometry, but then I found out I hadn't scrolled down the screen all the way. So no, there's nothing different. The chassis is identical.
Is it? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it looks like a cool chassis. It looks like, I mean, it's associated. They make good stuff, no doubt about that. But it's just to re-release something, put it, I think it's even the same body, just with a camel yellow RC10 paint job on it, and
Absolutely.
to mark it up an extra $80 is kind of, I don't know, like that doesn't sit well with me. To me, that just feels like kind of like cash grabby, feels a bit greasy. It's not very cool.
Well, we've called them out on it. So hopefully people have seen Adam's post, they've listened to what we've said, and maybe this particular one, maybe it won't sell particularly well. But it's not the only thing you pointed out to me, that there's yet something else that's been teased today from Team Associated. Surely it's not something RC10 related, is it?
Well, Craig, I think it is. Yeah, I hope you're sitting down. It's also RC10 related, and it's painted camel yellow with white plastics. And it's a teaser photo, and it's a crawler. It just looks like a crawler with white plastics, like RC10 vintage style white plastic. With the camel yellow body. It's all you can see, just like a little bit of it. I have no idea what it is, so I'm not going to be presumptuous and say I know anything about it, other than I've seen a fraction of a photo of it. But it seems like the RC10 cash cow is being milked really aggressively these days.
It says here on the bottom of the post, a gleam of gold, a nod to legacy. Where trail meets RC10 tradition, adventure begins.
Well, there you go. I'm
Cryptic.
sold. Take my money. No, I was being very sarcastic there. I don't know. I have to see it, but like, what is it? What's it going to be? Is it something special? Is it just another rebadge, something else with an RC10 library on it? I guess we'll find out. Cause they tease, and like the next day it's like, here's the whole release. So I'm sure by the weekend we'll know exactly what it is.
Everybody must be buying these things for Team Associated to still be putting out the RC10 name on everything. Somebody somewhere is buying these, and maybe they're buying them in decent numbers, which is why they keep putting them out.
They're buying them. I mean, I think some of them aren't selling as well as others. I've seen like, I think it was the J Halsey RC10 still in stock in some of the Canadian hobby stores. They're trying to reduce the price on them. The green thing, that broccoli RC10, I don't know what that was all about, but those are still sitting on some shelves, kind of hard to get rid of. So people are buying them. Like, we want these. This is. I'll reiterate what I said in my review for the RC10 4-wheel drive. Like, we want these cars, and I appreciate them. And I think all of us out here today that grew up with these cars and have the chance to own them again, of course, Associated or Thunder Tiger, whoever you want to refer to, has to manufacture them, and they have to absorb the cost, and they have to market them, and so there's a bit of risk involved. And I think they had a bit of a failed re-release run back in like 2012, 13 when they tried this. So I understand that the getting's good, so they're doubling, tripling down on it. I get that, but it just feels like it's too fast. There's too many cars, too fast, production issues, parts missing. I still don't have my driver for my RC10 four-wheel drive. I did this funny bit in my review video and I got roasted. People are like, who cares about a driver? Like, I just think hey, listen, the manual says next step is get your driver ready. And I wanted my driver. I didn't get a driver. You just got these manufacturing kind of flaws and stuff's just getting missed. And it's just, I don't know. It's leaving a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, and I think it's a bit of a scar on the legacy of an amazing brand in our hobby. And I don't want to see them scarred. I want to see them. We all want to see them like a bright shining star. Not You don't want to think of them in a negative light, and then they're kind of doing it to themselves.
Yeah, it's a shame. It really is a shame. There's a guy I watch on YouTube, Martin H's RC. Martin is in the UK. He's a UK hobbyist. He races his cars. He goes to some race meets. He knows quite a few people in the UK RC community, and he posts up just like some vlogs on YouTube. And he's really informative to watch some of his builds. When he talks about his cars, he's quite passionate about it. And Martin was giving a sort of a bit of a warner out there because he had got around to opening up and looking inside, or maybe even building his RC10. I can't remember if he built it or not, but he had parts missing. And he said, won't it be really frustrating for people if you've got these things and you've put them on a shelf and you intend to build them, but maybe not for another 4, 5, 6 years' time? You rip open that RC10 to build it in 4 or 5 years' time, and you're missing a part, or your body's scratched up because it wasn't pre-packed properly, or whatever the case may be. And you reach out to your hobby shop and they go, sorry, can't get those parts anymore. Or you reach out to Team Associate and they go, sorry, we don't stock those anymore. You're going to be really, really annoyed that that care and attention wasn't taken as part of the manufacturing process.
Big time. Yeah, big time. And I think a lot of people are doing that. I think a lot of people are buying up multiple kits, throwing some in the closet. I mean, I've done it. I've got one sitting in my closet for a rainy day, or just to have it maybe one day when, I don't know, I've got one. And I actually think about that because those things did happen. I think it was my RC10T that I bought. The body was in really bad shape. It was just like thrown in the box, not even like there was no protective film on it. And just through transportation, it was rubbing on whatever was inside. And, it scratched up the body really bad. And, and I'm like, do I call them? And some people would, hey guys, you screwed up, send me a body. And I'm sure Associated would make it right and they'd send you a body. I'm sure they would. But I don't know. I'm not that guy. I don't like to complain as I complain here on this podcast. I don't like to complain. I'll complain on a podcast with you, but I won't call them up and be like, hey, where's my driver? Does that make sense?
It does. It does. It does.
Oh, it's silly. It's silly. But yeah, I love them. I just think some of these releases, I think if they just slowed them down. And you know what? The other thing is too, is like when you slow it down, it creates that anticipation and that excitement, and we're suckers for it, man. Like, you dangle a little teaser and it's just like, it's the worm on the hook and we're the fish. Our eyeballs get all big. We get excited. And we start buzzing and it starts, hits YouTube, hits all social medias, and everyone's all, it just creates a buzz. And that's kind of what you do with teasers, and you can milk them a little bit and have some fun with them. And I just think they're just too much too soon, and it's losing some of the impact.
I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. So you mentioned earlier about Masami, yeah, and you mentioned about his RC10, his stealth car.
Sure did.
When you were mentioning that, we talked about Genova, the G-Force Genova, and that was the two-wheel drive that he had done. Well, G-Force have got another RC car coming that has been developed under the supervision of Masami, and this one is the G-Force Xstrada. Have you heard about this?
I have, and it looks sexy.
It says here it's a new era of 1/10 electric four-wheel drive buggy. It is two belt drive system, carefully optimized central battery layout, balance of rear stability and sharp handling. The car was built to drive the way we dreamed as kids. This is selling it to me already. Standard front universal joints, 2.2-inch tires and wheels, full ball bearing spec, modern geometry, and classic soul. Coming September 2025. Now, does that get you excited?
It does get me excited. It's funny because when I look at the initial photo of it, I see a Kyosho dirt cross.
Yes.
It looks so much like a Kyosho dirt cross, and they had a 2-wheel drive version before this, right? I forget what it was called, and it kind of reminded me of the Dirt Master, but it's not. It's far from it, and I think it's just like the black plastics that they use and the black shocks kind of give it that feel. It's definitely not in any way, shape, or form. Because as soon as you start looking at it, like you say, you got the dual belt drives. Masami modified, that cool sticker on the side. That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it looks the business, man. I don't know. Do you know what the price point is supposed to be on this one?
1,000 yen, which sounds like a lot of money. I've got no idea. I think that's about £300, I want to say. I'm just going to do the conversion quickly. Japanese yen to pound sterling, 45,000 is,
according to my Google, 418 Canadian.
400. That's pretty good. 226 pounds. I mean, that's the same price as that MO7R we were talking about earlier.
Right. And that's a great example of what you can get at the price point of an MO7R. Like, this is a 4-wheel drive buggy, man. Like, this thing is, I don't know.
The only caveat to that is last time the Genova the GeForce Genova was basically Japan only. You couldn't buy it outside of Japan unless you found someone who'd already imported it, in which case the price got jacked up. So there is that to consider. If we were going to buy one of these from Japan, we've got to pay import, we've got to pay duties, we've got to pay shipping. So I think it's going to probably be more like 300 landed, which will be if you added another $100 maybe onto your price.
Yeah.
But that's still pretty good value for what you're getting here, I think.
I think so. It comes with a body. I'm looking at the specs here. It comes with a body and a wing, which is nice. No motor, no ESC. So you need a low profile servo. Kind of an interesting chassis, the way it's narrow and it kind of tubs out. Set that midship motor on it. I don't know. I like it. I think it's cool. Something I'd be kind of weary to drive or race because, parts availability would be pretty much, nil, I would think. You hate to break something, right? You break a C-hub or something at the track and then you're just done. The car's just going to sit there forever. I like it though. And I like the body. Like, it's got the cab, more toward the back, and it's got some cool angles on it. I like it. I think it looks awesome.
You have to consider the part availability, don't you? It has to be a consideration if you're going to run it.
100%. Yeah, I mean, you're going to break parts. If you're going to race, you're going to break parts. It's how it is. So, that's a tough one. The dual belt drive system looks really cool. I like kind of the midship motor with the dual belt. That's neat.
Yeah, it reminds me of the DB01.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the
exactly.
Durga.
Yeah, the Durga.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's all of the RC releases that we've got to go through. That's quite meaty. That's certainly, we spent more time doing that than we did on the Tamiya ones. I can only sense that Tamiya's got some good stuff coming, and we just don't know about it yet.
I hope so. When you said the September show, I thought September, that's like 9 months away, but that's actually, September's not too far away anymore, is it? Holy cow.
Right around the corner, man. It's right around the corner. But first of all, we've got to finish these speed runs. So, let's finish off with what's going on the channels. I mean, I'm pretty certain that this weekend I'm filming speedrun, and I'm pretty certain that next weekend, before whatever the deadline is, we'll be doing another speedrun, and that's all we're focused on at the minute.
Nice. Well, good luck, man. Get out there and let it rip. Have fun. Yeah, we've got, what is it? This weekend is that's the second last, right? And then, the show ends on end of the month, July 31st. And then I'm doing the cutoff because I'm actually taking off. I'm going to be doing my annual overland side bay camping adventure excursion thing. So I'm going to be off grid. So yeah, July 31st is a Thursday, and I'm asking everybody. So if you guys are in the SRC and you're participating and you're listening right now, July 31st at 10 a.m. is cutoff for your last runs to be submitted. Because we leave at like 4 a.m. on the 1st. So I've got to really get my stuff together, do a big banger finale video, and have it set to air on Sunday the 3rd, August 3rd, for the final Scoreboard Sunday.
Oh, the last time we're going to hear the polka for another year. What are we going to do?
I don't know. I don't know how people live without that polka for a whole year, Craig. I have no idea.
My wife was cussing you over last weekend because Mini OAG and I sat down and we watched it together. And for the rest of the day, she was humming Scoreboard Sunday, here we go. She just kept popping up with it every now and then. Everything would be quiet and she'd just start singing.
my
It's
gosh, that's so funny. I can just
it is
imagine how many people do that.
it is so infectious. It just gets into your head, and you can't lose it. You cannot lose it.
I
And then
wasn't
all of
gonna
a sudden,
use
it just
it.
starts going, chasing down our dreams.
So ridiculous. So ridiculous. I was like, I'm not gonna use it this year. And then I haven't listened to it myself since last year. Then I played the file. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is way too good. Yeah, we're using this again.
It's got to be done. It defines Scoreboard Sunday to me. It won't be the same without it. You know,
That's right. And
it'd be
it's funny
like an
too.
episode. Did you guys ever see Top Gear? Did you get Top Gear over in
I never
Canada?
you could get it. I never really did get into Top Gear though.
So for my UK listeners, then it would be like an episode of Top Gear without the iconic Top Gear soundtrack over the top of it, or the we used to have the Formula One, the F1 channel, and they used to show the Formula One, and that would start with a certain song, and it would be like the Formula One without that song at the start of it as well. There's iconic songs that go with iconic things, and for me, the polka is iconic. It's associated now with Speedrun Challenge. So there you go. Scoreboard Sunday.
That's so funny. It really is, man. It really is. Yeah, it's so funny, and I think one of the best parts of it is like it's played on YouTube, and YouTube is a world of like make everything shorter, more condensed, faster, and like at my pace. I'm old, so I'm pretty slow. But like you watch Whistling Diesel or Mr. Beast, and they're just like fast, fast, fast. Everything's fast, right? And then you got this 2.5 minute intro polka to this video every Sunday. Like most videos aren't 2.5 minutes, and yet the intro is 2.5 minutes. It just
Do
goes
you know
against
what?
all the rules, which I think makes it even funnier.
We listen to it every Sunday from start to finish. I don't know what that says about us, but we're there every Sunday.
You're not alone. I mean, like my wife will still be like, we'll wake up Sunday morning. That's like the one day like I don't do social media. I just kind of tap out. I take a day just for like, let my brain not stare at a screen, and wake up and having the coffee. She's like, Scoreboard Sunday? I'm like, okay, fire it up. You asked for it. And we watch and we laugh every time.
It's the best. It is the best. Well, look, I wish you all the success between now and the end of the Speedrun Challenge. It's only a couple of days away now, so everyone get out there and get your final runs in. We're going to be doing that this weekend, getting out and tearing it up and see if we can not break the chassis. And then by this time next month when we catch up, it'll all be done. It'll all be in the past.
Oh my gosh, hard to believe, man. Hard to think about because it's like it overtakes my life. You know what I mean? Like every morning I get up at 6 and I go for my morning walk and I sit down. I got the coffee brew and I come home. I pour a thing of coffee and I watch speed runs till 8, 9, 10 a.m. 3-4 hours of speed runs every morning. Like I wake up, I got like 24 speed runs. And by the time you go through them and make sure that everything's legit, blah blah blah, it takes a few hours. And then by the time you're done, those 24, 10 more came in. So you're like, oh boy, okay, I need to move my body.
I hope everybody out there is appreciating the lengths that Phil goes to for the craft of Speedrun Challenge. I think it deserves a round of applause. There you go.
Thanks, man. Thanks. There's a phrase I'm trying to think of. I can't think of it right now, but I don't know. I love it. And it brings people together and everyone's having fun. And that's what it's about. It's about just, man, the world just, there's so much negativity piped in constantly, even like my YouTube feed, I try and weed it out and it's like, have it just like RC cars and cool stuff. And then before you know it, it's like, so-and-so said so-and-so is a jerk. And it's like, I really don't care what Whoopi Goldberg said about Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why do I care about this? Who gives it, turn it off, and so it's totally worth it to be able to just put a big dose of 2 months, a 2-month dose of injection, a 2-month injection of just good, just people meeting people, getting together, having fun, making slow cars go fast. It's just such a good thing. So, and thank you, man. Like you, Craig, you've helped out so much with it and did the how to record a speedrun video for me when I was swamped and that's been how many times I've shared that video with people. Hey, watch this is how you do it. And it's just a communal thing. Everyone's coming together and having fun with it. So thank you and thanks to everyone else participating.
That is what it's all about. Ultimately, it's about having
100%.
fun. Yeah,
100%.
absolutely. Well, dude, we've come to the end of the show. Thank you very much for joining me again. I appreciate you hanging around with me and chatting about RC cars. It's always a pleasure, sir. Always a pleasure.
It's the best. It's a great way to spend some time, buddy.
And thank you very much to the listeners, those people out there who have spent the last hour and 15 minutes or so listening to Phil and I rabbit on about all sorts of stuff. And there was some non-RC stuff this time round. So I apologize if that wasn't your thing, but, just thought we'd do it for a change and break it up a little bit. So we'll be back to action again in a month's time. And until then, keep doing what you're doing. Make sure you go and check out Phil's channel. Oh, there's one thing I forgot. Phil, I almost forgot. I wanted to draw people's attention to a new RC channel, Tonic RC. He set up a channel a couple of weeks ago, and his recent video was a build of a Ayrton Senna tribute Honda City Turbo, and it's an absolutely stunning RC build, and it's a wonderful YouTube video, and people should go over and check him out. I'll put a link in the descriptions for the podcast, and he deserves lots of success because his videos are absolutely top class, really, really good, and he inspires me to do better builds because I want to do more. So go and check him out if you can. Awesome. Phil, thank you very much for your time, and I will see you soon on Talks Tamiya. Bye from me and bye from you, Phil.
Bye-bye.
See ya.